Welcome back, everyone. Aces NFL show, and we are breaking down the division picks for you all this evening, and we're going to get straight into it. It's time for the NFC, and if there's a man to ask a few questions about the NFC or the NFC East, we have him right here next to us, Aaron Sifos, Dallas Cowboys, the Philly Eagles, New York Giants, and Washington Commanders. Mate, I could let you go on for weeks about this one, so I'll let you start. You tell me what you expect to happen because Dallas Cowboys finished on top last year, and as we know, fun fact, in the NFC East, no one has backed up the year after.
For like 20 years, Like, it's been a long time.
I think it was 10 or 15, but something, I mean, call it 10, that's still ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
So that tells us that it can't be Dallas Cowboys on that statistic. And
Which I'm very happy
And if
about.
I look at the Giants and Commanders, I don't reckon it's them. But
Fly, Eagle, fly, baby.
Oh, that's it. I want you to tell me why Philly will win this division.
Well, they've loaded up. It's as simple as that. They have loaded up. They've gone out and got new coordinators, brought players back, got new players. So they've rejigged a lot of things to try and make this work. So I think it's a make or break for them, but I think they've got the caliber of players to be able to do it. So they're definitely chasing the ultimate success for them again. And I definitely think they're firming up to win this division this year. So
a question that you can probably answer now, but there's a lot of speculation about Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and how they don't get along.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it?
Jalen Hurts has kind of come out and he actually acknowledged it a tiny bit and says he kind of ignores all that external noise, but he said it was a bit of a, I don't know, maybe it was a learning curve for both of them post the Super Bowl loss.
Yeah.
What's the take there?
Yeah.
How much time does he spend with the head coach?
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
So do you think they're disagreeing on plays, personnel? Where would the beef come from if it's there?
I'd say more about the plays. That's where I think you would start to have your disagreement. I wouldn't say personnel and the caliber of players and stuff and that. I just think it's purely just a plays thing, whether it's maybe Jalen trying to do a bit more than what's needed, whether it's Sirianni not making the right call and just simply just not agreeing. So something clearly went wrong for him though last year to have that massive fall off. And it seems to be that's obviously a bit of tension between that, between the head coach and their superstar quarterback. And obviously, as you said, there's been a few things go on. But if I'm going to speculate, it would be that it's got to do with play calling, I'd say, and they're not being on the same page in terms of what should be run and what shouldn't be run, I would say.
Knowing them both well, what do you expect happen in the preseason?
There's obviously going to be a lot of connection tried to be built back up. I know personally that head coach Nick Sirianni's very big on that. So I'd say that's probably why it really hurt them last year because one of their pillars is obviously being connected and being a big group, which is hard to do in the NFL with the moving parts that do occur, but he really tries to emphasize that. So I'd say that building that connection again, the trust with each other, obviously the new offensive coordinator is probably going to help with that too. And he's got the track record to be able to, get the job done for him too, I'd say, and maybe just a fresh face for him just to help him kind of work that relationship too and get it done. So, I think the connection through the offseason has been massive for him. So hopefully you kind of see it out in the field.
Yeah, well said. And who have they brought in?
It's Keelan.
That's right, Moore.
Yeah, Keelan Moore.
I was just looking
he was
at
at Dallas for a few years, and then he went to the I think he was at the Chargers last year.
He was at the Chargers.
Then now he's at Philadelphia in his first year in Philadelphia. So new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. They've got some star power, I guess, on the defensive side of thing too, with Devin White from Tampa Bay, their star linebacker coming across. Gardner Johnson, who was at Philly, went to Detroit last year, now back at Philly. Really good safety. And they've got some other guys that hopefully, Jordan Davis kind of gets back to what he was. Jalen Carter, massive dude on the defensive line. So they've got some real weapons to be able to, I think, be pretty damaging.
You've really sold it to me, and I have, and it's a problem I've got with our podcast. I've got Michael Hibbert on our AFL one. I've been following the D's all year. They've been huge. So, but I really do believe in what you said. I knew that Kellen Moore had been there, and the reason I was just double checking, I wanted to get up his stats, but Moore, 35. He's quite young, and he was great at Dallas when he was there. And last year, if you want to know how good he was, the Chargers, right? How bad were they last year?
Yeah.
Offensively, his ranking was still in the top 4 in points per game with 27.7, yards per game with 391, and third down conversion percentage with 44% in that span. So that is very high for a team that only had, I think, what did they have, 4 wins last year?
They had 5 wins. But remember their games, like 45, 42s and stuff like that. Like the defense just didn't get it done.
But that's really good to see.
That's really good.
If you love offense and fantasy.
He's got firepower again for this team. Like, again, you've got Hurts that can run the ball, throw the ball, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon, Dallas Goddard. Like,
it's going to be
out.
I mean, we're going to do our Super Bowl predictions in another podcast later on, but it really is shaping up to be their year.
They need to do it too, I think. I think there's still a little bit of pressure there too. Like, they expect something to happen, and if it doesn't happen, I think he may be in a little bit of trouble.
And that's just the industry.
That's just the industry, and that's just the expectation of the Eagles. Like, now they know the caliber of players that they've got. So if they're not getting it done with that caliber of players, well, where else do they look? Well, they have to look at the coaching, I guess. And it's a bit rough. Like, he's been there for 3 years and he's gone to a playoff every single year, taking them to a Super Bowl to one. Like, it's a bit stiff, but I guess if you don't make it, then this year, then I think questions will have to be asked.
Dallas Cowboys they're the contenders that can potentially knock them off, but there's something about this year that does smell a little bit. Dan Quinn, their defensive coordinator, goes to Washington Commanders as the head coach. Zeke's their running back 1 at the moment. They've lost Pollard. There's talks about CD Lamb not rocking up. Dak Prescott wanting another contract. A lot of those kind of that's distraction. I don't care what you say. And then even Micah Parsons, there was a few rumors saying they're not happy with him. Now again,
and he's wanting to get paid too. So it's
exactly, and he's next. And they kind of haven't performed in the postseason. So 12 wins and 5 losses last year. Philly with the 11-6. I just wonder where they finish this year. I expect them to still be good, but how good?
I mean, I think with looking at the division, like, they're going to win their games because, let's face it, I don't expect much from the Giants or the Commanders, to be honest. So they're going to get enough wins.
Can the Commanders be better than what we think?
I don't know. It's tough. That's tough. Dan Quinn's record from a defensive side of the last few years, and he was a head coach in Atlanta and got that team to a Super Bowl too. Now, we know what happened there, but
Falcons fans.
He had obviously a pretty good track record there for a bit, but I don't know. I just don't think they're there yet. I think rookie quarterback. It'll be interesting to see what Eckler does. I just don't know too much.
Well, Brian Robinson and him apparently fighting for RB1. It's going to be a nightmare for fantasy owners.
Who knows what you're going to get out of them this year, but I don't expect much. The Giants will be interesting. And then, Dallas, I think they obviously have said they'll win there, but it's interesting. Like, last year was arguably, you could have said that was their year. Like, this is what we need to do. And you finish number 2 in the NFC. You got the home run that you've always dreamt of, that you really want, and then you blow it against the number 7 in Green Bay Packers. So, I don't know. Heads will might have to roll. Mick McCarthy was obviously it's Mike McCarthy.
Cost me a stack that game.
Yeah, I bet it did.
I remember going,
what? You wouldn't have been the only one too. Trust me. And they got pants too.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even close. So
it was like
I don't know. There's a lot of things going on there that's not very good.
That could be something that shakes an organisation, can't it? Like, you get the perfect position at home. Their record was 8-0 last year at home. Yeah. And then you get pantsed.
And you get pantsed in the first one at home. You're like, if anything's guaranteed, you're almost saying that one's guaranteed, and they blew it.
And that's why we love the NFL.
Oh, mate, it's so good.
Any given Sunday.
Seriously, there it is.
We'll just keep moving. We're going to both lock in Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep, it's home.
And the last place, which was Washington last year with 4 wins, and the Giants at 6. Do you think Washington or the Giants will finish last?
I still think the Commanders will finish last. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think that division stays the same as what it was last year.
And a huge shout out to the New York Giants head coach, Dable, has lost about 60 kilos.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a sign that they're going to just sharpen up.
Not.
Righto, NFC North, we moved through Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, and Chicago Bears. This is stacked. I'll start with a few murmurs and I guess news, but Green Bay Packers signed Jordan Love. I think it was one of the largest contracts we've seen.
Yeah, he's paid now.
He's paid. Amon-Ra, St. Brown paid at wide receiver for the Lions.
Yep.
The Minnesota Vikings have had Jordan Addison with a lot of drama off field. Rumours that might even move him on because it's pretty fucked up what he's done.
Yeah.
Just amazing how many of these wide receivers.
Not the first time either, from all reports too. So it's
Just if you've got a fast car, just drive it at the limit on the roads.
That's right.
Otherwise, go to NASCAR or something.
That's right.
He's caused a lot of distraction, and they've got, as we know, rookie QB, Kirk Cousins out. So interesting watch. And then Chicago Bears, we know they've loaded up, but they've got a new quarterback. Pick one, Caleb Williams, but the pressure that's on his shoulders, everyone's comparing him to CJ Stroud, who had the best year we've ever seen in the NFL history, and everyone's expecting him to be better.
Yeah.
So talk to me. What do you think?
It's a good division, isn't it? Like now, it kind of starts
Green Bay's made it good, I reckon.
Yeah, they have made it good. And I probably didn't expect that from Green Bay last year with Jordan Love and that coming in, but they did really, really well. So I think that's like shakes up the division, which is good. We know what the Bears brought in. I think it can make Caleb Williams' job a little bit easier with the players that he does have around him. He doesn't have to go out there and try and make something happen. I think he's got good guys to make it work. So I think that's going to be massive for him. But looking at it, that's a really, really good division. I'm still leaning towards Detroit. They haven't obviously necessarily added anybody, maybe lost one or two guys on the defensive side, but I just think they're a well-oiled machine now. I think they just NFC Championship last year, arguably should have won it, like up by 17, looking so good. And I just think that's going to make him fire. And we've seen vision of obviously Dan Campbell and how he goes about his business and stuff. And I'd say he'd be as hungry as ever, and his players just go with him on that too. So I still expect Detroit to get it done, but that's a tight division. I think that's tighter than what it has been in previous years for sure.
I don't get Green Bay Packers. I don't think they're as good as everyone else does.
No, picking up Josh Jacobs though as a running back now is massive. I think he's probably better than Jones, and if he stays healthy, like that's a bit of firepower.
What they did at the end, what they did in the postseason, has made me go, hang on, they are better than what I thought.
Yeah. And they got good corners, like defensive side. Like they do make it tough. And again, their head coach in LaFleur he's so smart. Like he comes up with such different stuff to keep them in the game and that. And it's tough to play in Green Bay. The reality is that
that's
it's so tough.
The home field advantage is a real thing.
And if you do win there, then that's massive. But it is tough to play there.
Last year, Detroit Lions 12-5, the Green Bay 9-8. But what they did in the postseason, taking Dallas down. Yeah. Who they take down the next week?
They just lost to San Fran,
but they had them almost locked up.
Yeah, it was
almost
close.
Had it done.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like,
it's tough.
They're going, and that's why Jordan's been paid.
Yeah. Yep.
Christian Watson went down today as we record this podcast.
That's an interesting one too.
And it said knee. I was expecting hamstring, but it was knee, which is you hate to see it. And he is a really important piece.
Yep.
To their young wide receiver core.
Space for him for sure, because that probably is one area that they do need. That's the one that's kind of, I don't know if he was able to make it work last year with Love, but I'm not too sure. That's probably something that they're definitely missing.
Well, okay, so we're both going to say Lions.
Yeah.
And then Packers?
Yeah, I'd say Packers and Bears and then Minnesota.
And Bears 7 wins last year and looked pretty good defensively, I reckon, from my memory. And now you're adding all this star power on offense. Yeah. How many wins do you expect them to have?
I think they can get above 500, but only just. I reckon it's a couple of wins. I reckon 9 and 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Well, it's going to – Minnesota for me will finish last.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
And Justin Jefferson, he might – because he's playing from behind, he might get some cheap catches late. He might be going for the most receiving yards as long as he stays healthy. I just don't like when the quarterbacks aren't stars. Yeah. Like Kirk Cousins for me, look, I think he's a star, right? Star gets thrown around. He wasn't a superstar, but you just knew that he could make a play.
He's a veteran and he knows where to go to, mate.
You can't consistently. Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to make a play when they need it.
Yep.
So you expect him to be pretty frustrated. Righto, NFC South. Let's move on. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They drew with New Orleans Saints, but they finished on top with 9 wins, 8 losses. Then Atlanta Falcons 7-10. We know Kirk Cousins and Penix Jr. are now there. And Carolina Panthers were 2-15, one of the poorest records in the whole NFL. But They now have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator as head coach. Tampa Bay Buccaneers have lost a lot of players. You mentioned Devin White. I reckon they've lost a few.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned about them. Saints, not sure. And the Falcons, they've kind of loaded up a little bit. So this is a tricky one, and it always has been. And as you can see, no one...
But not for a good reason either.
No, it's an ugly one.
Yeah.
It's ugly. But when Tampa was there with Tom Brady, it was easy.
Yeah.
But even then, the Saints still had
But even
the wood
Saints,
over
Drew
them.
Brees and that, they still had it. It was definitely a tougher division with
My
that.
question
but
to you
now,
is, can Carolina Panthers sprint? Can they do something this year with a new head coach? Bryce Young, he got stitched up last year. They've put Deontay Johnson there from the Steelers. They've got a little bit more weapons around him.
Yeah, I just don't see much.
Don't see it?
Not yet.
What about Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah, I do. That's who I see taking the division.
For some reason, I just trust the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I can understand why. There's no doubt. Like they've still got some really good players, but I think
I'm ready to see Atlanta Falcons.
I am too, and that's going to be my pick with New Orleans being pretty close. But I can definitely see why the Saints. You'd be going with the Saints for sure. They've still got some quality players, both offensively and defensively. Obviously, if Alvin Kamara can get right and play regularly, I mean, we know how good he is. Derek Carr, obviously maybe another year there, like he can be ready to go. Chris Olave, is that right? Their wide receiver, really good player too. And so they definitely do have the weapons.
I like their defense.
Yeah, but Atlanta's defense is low-key good too. So
I just think
Bijan
Robinson,
I think
Kyle
Raheem Morris.
Pitts.
Yeah, I know.
I reckon they're all ready to get going. They've had nothing.
And now they do have a quarterback that could get them the ball, like particularly Pitts, massive.
Yeah, and
they've got Drake London and there as well. So I just think that maybe now's the time.
I'm just looking at some odds because I actually don't know who I think this would be the best value play in that division. I just don't see any other ones that, as I said, I reckon they've probably got the Bucks as the favourites. Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans did get paid.
Yes, they did.
Do you think they can Mike Evans has been the most consistent wide receiver of all time. He's gone for 1,000 yards, 10 or 11 times in a row. Yeah. But at what point, as I said to you, he's due?
I know.
Is he due for a bad year? Are they due for something that might go wrong? Because Maybe. I don't know. And the other one there is Sterling Shepard signed a 1-year deal, which is interesting. He's kind of hasn't done too much at the Giants. So your predictions for the whole division, where do you have it all there? While I get the odds up?
I'm going to go with the Falcons 1, New Orleans 2, Tampa 3, and Carolina 4.
Jeez, it'd be tough being a Panthers man, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they're in the world of hurt right now.
There you go. Atlanta Falcons are $1.83 favourite. So as we are looking at the odds, we are speaking truth. Yeah, it's disappointing. I wanted $3.
I know. I bet you did.
That is disappointing. They've got Tampa Bay Buccaneers $4 and Saints $4.50 and Panthers at $12. Well, that's the hype, I guess, when you get Kirk Cousins and everyone else.
Can he stay healthy and get back to what he was beforehand? That would be the question. But I think if he does, then they can make it happen.
I'm wearing my LA Rams champion T-shirt that I got gifted years ago just to mix it up because I love me NFL. You know that. I'll wear Philly stuff I'll have to buy some. But the NFC West, it was very tough about 2-3 years ago, but now it's just been 49ers that just explode. 12 wins, 5 losses last year, but the Rams 10-7, Seahawks 9-8, and the Cardinals 4-13. We know Kyler Murray was coming back from that ACL. This was a real hot division. It was really hot, and I think it still can be hot. Yeah. I just saw that Christian McCaffrey's got tight calves. Yes. Might even have a strain.
I think it's a strain.
And it could be bad.
He's not playing the preseason. Ayuk looks like he is done.
They've just picked up someone from what's the other league that Dwayne Johnson owns? The UFL. They picked up a wide receiver, I think, yesterday. Yeah. And not that means much.
Worked out Chosen Anderson.
Bobby.
Yeah.
Chosen.
That's his name now.
Where do you change your name to Chosen?
Chosen.
The chosen one. and then put up donuts.
And he's getting workouts.
I think there was me and Rory were talking about Bobby Chosen last year. I reckon he scored a touchdown. He went for I think he was paying about $22.
Wow, and he got one.
He got a 1 yard touchdown. And I reckon if you got the unders and took the over, you got about 100-1.
That is great. That is great.
But back to NFC West, we'll get a bit toey here thinking about touchdown scorers.
Yeah.
San Fran 49ers.
Yeah.
It's expected that they win.
Yep.
Even if Christian McCaffrey has a tight calf and Ayuk's not there, you think it's fine.
I still think it's fine. It's Purdy. Purdy. What do we like? I just don't know what to expect. Like it's
Debo Samuel was the one.
Debo's there.
Debo is after watching the doco, I learned a little bit more. The one thing I learned was if he's not playing, I'm betting against them.
Yeah.
Because he is so important to their offense. If he plays, they win. Yeah. If he doesn't play, they don't get their offense going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I look around them.
Very important to them.
Seattle's
George Kittle, obviously.
Seattle's been knocking on the door for a while.
I'm interested to see now that they've got a new head coach. Like Pete Carroll's been there forever. Like, he's been the guy. Yeah, now he's not there. Like, so I'm interested to see how that works. I'm not too sure. They've lost a couple of players too, like a couple of good corners and that. Like Jamal Adams is gone from safety.
Yeah, but he and
I know he was hardly there and stuff, but they're the ones I'm not too sure about, the Seahawks. But you know what you're going to get. You know what you think you're going to get from them anyway. They're going to be the hard-edged team that are just going to make it tough, particularly at home. Like, the 12th man's a real thing. They make it tough out there. But I still expect San Fran to get it done. Their defense is loaded.
It is.
Fred Warner, Nick Bosa.
Is it Greenlaw? Is that his name?
Greenlaw.
He's coming off an Achilles, though.
So I don't know how he's going to go because he did that in the Super Bowl.
The game turned when he did that.
And as soon as that happened, that made it very tough for them. And they've got some really, their D-line is so good.
I really like the Seahawks and who they've drafted over. They've got some.
Yeah,
they've got
I'm just interested with new staff now. How it's going to work out for them and which way they go with it. That's the only thing I'm interested in.
For anyone out there that wants to know, the Seahawks hired former Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator Mike McDonald as their next head coach. 6-year contract.
Good spot to get it from. Yeah, good spot to get it from.
36-year-old McDonald, but he become one of the youngest head coaches and brings to Seattle a reputation as one of the league's brightest defensive minds, having led the Ravens to number 1 rankings in points allowed, sacks, and takeaways in 2023. His second season as Baltimore's defensive coordinator. So you're going to expect, I reckon, a better defense in Seattle.
You would expect that.
And their offense, I saw a quote the other day, just give it to Kenneth Walker. You got DK Metcalf. You got Lockett.
You do.
You got a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm not too sure. I don't know which way to go with them. I don't expect them to fall too much, but it's I just don't know what to expect. Tough division, though. There's 3 teams up there that can definitely give it a shot.
We haven't spoken about the Rams, but Aaron Donald out. You'd expect them to go down 10 wins and 7 losses.
Yeah.
Puka Nacua, rumoured to maybe have hurt himself. Who knows? We haven't really spoken about Arizona Cardinals, 4-13. We know Rondale Moore just went to the Falcons, and he had a bit of a sick injury. We forgot to touch on that at the Falcons. Did you see that the other day?
Yeah, that's right. And so I think earlier today, or he's, I don't know, something to do with his leg, but he's been airlifted to hospital. So he's had a pretty significant injury based on the leg area. I don't know whether it's a knee or whether it's broken bones or something like that, but supposedly airlifted and training got cancelled based on that. So it was must have been pretty horrific, but obviously that's a significant injury considering the Falcons, as we said, I think have got some pretty good firepower. That's going to be obviously one that they're going to lose, but still got some really good players that kind of expect to get it done. But that one definitely, I think, will hurt them for sure, which is a bit of a shame.
You look at our little graphic we got here, and it was just Drake London on his own, and he was the other one that was going to help Pitts and those kind of guys.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a shame for that one for sure.
Back to the Cardinals, we look at who they've got, and it really is just Marvin Harrison Jr. and then Michael Wilson, who you wouldn't really know much about, but it's their tight end McBride. Yeah. There's not a lot for Kyler to throw it. They're probably still need to get a couple more players.
Yeah, I think they obviously still need another wide receiver and that to be able to kind of get it to. So I'm not really expecting too much from Arizona this year. So I think it's probably a bit more of a 3-horse race for that division.
I think Seattle can be a smoky, but I'm not going to tip them. I just think Seattle.
Is that your one that you expect to like?
Well, I was hoping it was Atlanta Falcons, but I looked at the odds. It's $1.83, which is still good juice. I do. I think Seattle can give it a shake. I think they've got – I really rate their head coach. Yeah. And the only reason I'm saying that is if if C-Mac's injured, Ayuk leaves, Greenlaw, I think his name is, their defense is a bit banged up. And if they lose Debo or someone through injury, it just shakes that whole thing up. I don't want that to happen.
No.
So that's my smoky, but it's hard. I'm not going to tip against San Fran. They've just gone to a Super Bowl. I thought they should have won it.
Yeah. Agree.
So, I mean, again, there always is one, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at, we've obviously already done the AFC and we didn't really pick one there.
Nah.
And
Seattle's a good one.
I think Seattle's the team that I reckon keep your eyes on.
Seattle is a good one. Yeah.
The home ground advantage as well. Last year, no team went over 5-3. In fact, San Fran, LA, and Seattle all went 5-3 at home.
Yep.
They just need to fix it on the road. And division-wise, they were pretty poor last year with 2-4, where the rest were 5-1. So, all right, well, let's go through it again. You go, I go. So, NFC East, you're going with?
Fly, Eagles, fly.
I'm with him. He sold me the dream, and I'll be letting him know all year. If Dallas knocking on the door, I'll be fuming. But I really do like what you've said and agree. And last in that division will be
Commanders.
Washington.
I would love to say the Giants, but I won't do it.
I'm loving this theme all year. I might have to start taking him up on a few of these because if you look at them, they won 6 games last year, so I'm going to win every third week. Awesome. NFC North, who you got? Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, and Chicago Bears?
Lions. Yep, that's who I'm going with, and I think the Packers will finish a close second.
Nice. I'm going to go the Lions as well. I hope the Bears can push. NFC South.
This can be a difference, I reckon.
Yeah, we've got the Bucks, Saints, Falcons, and Panthers.
I'm going the Falcons. Falcons for me to win the division.
No, I agree.
Do you?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
That's what I said to you before.
I don't know. I reckon he said Saints. I reckon he said Saints, everybody.
I'm happy to go with the Saints.
No. Falcons for me.
I agree with the Falcons.
Okay.
I think they're loaded.
Yeah.
They're loaded offensively and defensively, and I just trust the Saints defense as well, but I'm going Falcons, Saints, Bucks, Panthers in that order.
Bang.
And then NFC West, you're going with?
I'm going with San Fran. You can't not go with San Fran, I think, just based on what they've been able to produce.
I want to put my plums on the line and say it, but I do take my NFL very seriously. I take it very seriously. In fact, I love it. And I'm going to go with San Fran as well, closely followed by Seattle Seahawks. Ooh. And then Rams Cardinals, flip a coin, but I'd expect the Rams to finish above them, but wouldn't be surprised either way because of Donald being out. But I have high hopes for Seattle this year. I think they're the one team to keep your eyes on.
Watch out. I like it.
Mate, fantastic work.
Good stuff.
It's good to break it all down. We'll get these up. We've got some exciting news coming as well, and we're under 30. We're inside the month.
Yeah, we are.
We're just starting to shape up our
Pre-season
podcast
1 this
for the
week.
year.
Here we go. So a little early look.
What I am interested in we're going to get a little bit on the next podcast we do. I'm going to sit down and pepper you with all the questions that people have because your insights are unbelievable, and just so we can understand what to take away from these games, what should we be looking for? What's important? What's not? What should we read into? All these little tips that you've got, I think, is really important because our NFL fantasy drafts are probably 2 weeks away.
Wow!
And it's important that we get as much knowledge as possible. Thank you. To everyone that tunes in, Aces NFL Show, subscribe, send it to your friends that love NFL, and we'll see you next time right here on American Aces.